situation we're in right now.
Yeah, and to be fair, the DNC spent a lot of time last week, a lot of airtime criticizing Donald Trump's reaction to COVID-19. I do wonder, though, if that's still going to have a bearing on the vote, though, or whether or not, because as you say, well, we heard from Donald Trump, this strategy is tried and true in the United States, to some extent has worked in the United States. So I wonder if focusing on race and division, whether or not that actually blunted the Democratic message on COVID-19.
I don't think it did. I think we've seen in our polling and a lot of other public polling, there is no issue bigger than COVID-19 right now for the American voter. It is the overwhelming, overarching issue in this country. And the other part of 1968 and the delta between the then and now is back then in America, about 84% of voters were white. Now it's about 62% of voters are white. So this country has changed. It's become more diverse. It's become more racially blended. And there's a much different sense of the racial politics in the nation. An awful lot of suburban voters understand that there is a racial component to this attack, and it's something that even Republican-leaning suburban voters are very uncomfortable with. When we ran an ad this year about the Confederate flag and Confederate memorials being defended by Donald Trump, we found that the audience it moved the most were moderate and swing Republicans in suburbs. They did not want to be associated with Donald Trump's defense of the Confederacy, which he continued to do even last night.
Okay, well, right now, as we said, your committee is working actively to prevent the re-election of Donald Trump. And the polling numbers seem to indicate that he is running behind Joe Biden. You made a point of what you're seeing in terms of polls. But I'm wondering about what you're seeing in other trend lines, though, because, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe I saw an article where your committee is actually warning Americans that Trump's polling numbers are actually stronger than what we're seeing right now.
Well, look, we are playing a game in the Electoral College. It is not a national poll. I always tell people, ignore national polling. And the Electoral College in the upper Midwest has tightened. This is not a race that you can ignore. You can't sleep on this at any point. And there are certain dynamics in this race that offer Donald Trump a path to the re-election. And that is, if this race is a referendum on Donald Trump, he will lose. If it becomes a referendum on Democratic Party policies, which are less popular in the swing states, Michigan, Ohio, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania are much more conservative than California and Massachusetts and New York and Washington State and Oregon. So these are not states where you're going to win a policy fight by going out full bore on gun control, climate change, abortion, or any other issue that the Democratic, elected officials may want to run on. This has to be a referendum on Donald Trump, full stop.
Rick Wilson, always good to get your insight. Thank you for this.
Thanks for having me.
And that's Rick Wilson, Republican strategist and commentator, also the co-founder of the Lincoln Project.